I ask you about Secretary Clinton, Senator. Her position is we haven't seen what's in that bill yet, and therefore isn't it prudent to wait, not just have a hot opinion, but wait to see what's in the bill, and then she'll make her determination. That's her view. What do you say?
Well, John, don't you think it's a little bit silly for members of Congress to be voting yes on a bill that they haven't seen? That is one of many reasons to be voting against this piece of legislation. There is no question in my mind, and I think the minds of most Americans, that what our trade policy has been for many years is to allow corporate America to shut down plants in this country, move abroad, hire people at pennies an hour, and then bring their products back into the United States. It is a failed trade policy, and I would hope that the Secretary joins Elizabeth Warren, Sherrod Brown, and the vast majority of Democrats in the Congress in saying, no, we've got to defeat this piece of legislation.
But I want to say a word about another issue. There's a lot of discussion right now about the potential Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal, and I want to tell you what I think needs to be in that agreement. First, let me start by saying no president would be a tougher negotiator on behalf of American workers, either with our trading partners or Republicans on Capitol Hill, than I would be. In my time, 8 years in the Senate, I voted for some trade agreements and I voted against others. I think I have a pretty good idea of what we can do to meet the tests that I believe any trade agreement, especially TPP, must meet. It needs to, number one, protect American workers. Number two, it needs to raise wages and create good jobs at home. Number three, it needs to be in our national security interest. I've been saying that for months. Now, here's what I think should happen now. In order to get a deal that meets these high standards, the President should listen to and work with his allies in Congress, starting with Nancy Pelosi, who have expressed their concerns about the impact that a weak agreement would have on our workers, to make sure we get the best, strongest deal possible, and if we don't get it, there should be no deal. Now, in fact, I think this is the opportunity to speak out. You know, there are the voices, you've heard them, that are for the deal no matter what's in it, and there are the voices that are against the deal no matter what's in it. Well, I kind of fall in the group that says, let's find out what's in it, and let's make it as good as it can be, and then let's make a decision. And from my perspective, the President actually has this amazing opportunity now. Some of you know how to negotiate. So you go to the trading partners, the people that have been involved in this negotiation, you go, unless you give me more, unless you meet the needs that have been laid out, that my party in Congress have gone and spoken out about and made clear have to be in the deal, we're not going to have a deal. But we could have a deal if we made sure that we did everything possible to protect American workers, to raise the wages of American workers, to make sure that it is in our national security interest. And there are some specifics in there that could and should be changed. So I am hoping that's what happens now. Let's take the lemons and turn it into lemonade. Let's see if there is a way to get to an agreement that does do what I expect it to do. It has to include trade adjustment authority to provide the kind of protections for American workers that I am looking for. But I am willing to try now to see whether you can push to get rid of the objectionable parts, to drive a harder bargain on some of the other parts, and to provide more transparency so that the American people can actually see what will be in a proposed final deal. And so, if I were in the White House, that's what I'd be doing right now.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
I would be trying to figure out whether there is a way to get a deal that does what it should do for the American workers, that people, starting with Leader Pelosi, can say, you know what, we've made some real changes here. This might work or not. But let's try and see whether there is this opportunity now. We also have to recognize that if we don't do more to help American families, we can have agreements from here to the moon, and we're still not going to make it possible for most American families to feel like they're getting ahead. And from my perspective, I believe you should have the right to earn paid sick days. You should have the right to receive your work schedule with enough notice to arrange child care. You should be able to look forward to retirement with confidence, and you should certainly be able to count on your health care being there without breaking the bank.
So on one hand, you have groups whose motivation is greed and profit, and on the other hand, you have organizations trying to protect working people, trying to protect the environment, trying to uphold basic religious values about human dignity, saying no. Well, which side should we be on?